Well, today we're going to talk about the GoPro Hero 12 versus an absolute ton of cameras in a comparison, and I'm going to call it a very comprehensive comparison test to see, is the GoPro Hero 12 really worth it? All right, so we're going to compare the latest 4 generations of the GoPro Hero line. We've got the 9, the 10, the 11, and now the new 12, and they're all side by side so that we can see image quality. They're shooting 5K, 30 frames per second. Image stabilization is on. It's not on that hyper smooth stabilization, but a quick little audio test. First on the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll just kind of walk around, see what image quality is like, stabilization if you're in a vlogging type scenario with these, because the question really begs, what's the difference between the 9, the 10, the 11, and the new 12? Is it just the firmware between the 11 and the 12? Well, let's look at some image. So for those of you out there that have the GoPro Hero 9 or the 10, is it really worth going up to the 11 or the 12? Or if you have the 11, is it worth going up to the 12? Can you see a video quality difference between these 4 cameras? So you guys just saw that clip between the GoPro Hero 9, the 10, the 11, and the 12. And there's one thing that I really noticed, that as the image quality improves with each GoPro, although that may be debatable with the 11 versus the 12, one thing that has been suffering is the skin tones with GoPros. So the 9, the 10, the 11, and the 12, the skin tone seems to get worse with every generation. And I'm comparing it to the GoPro Hero 8 Black, which I think has perfect skin tones. So it's something about the color signs between the 8 and I'm using the 12 here just so you can see a difference between the quality of the skin tones. The 12, the 11, and the 10 give your skin kind of a ruddy look. And what I mean by ruddy, kind of a grainy, rough look, where the 8 actually gives you a nice smooth look. Not like that skin softening, I want to make you look like a movie star, but it gives you a more natural skin tone than what the 10, the 11, and the 12 do. The 9 was close to the 8, but it started to deteriorate a little bit. But I wanted just to be able to show you the difference in skin tone quality between these 2 cameras. So I will say one thing, the 8, and a lot of people hated the 8 because the removable lens cover was taken away with the 8. But I still think that the 8 is a very solid performing camera. Yes, the image stabilization may not be as good as what the 9, the 10, the 11, and the 12 is, but it's still a rock solid camera considering you can still get these like really, really cheap. But anyway, this is what skin tone quality looks like between the 8 and the 12. Well, since we're doing all these comparison tests, and there may be some people that say, you know, Andre, can't believe that you're actually going to compare the GoPro Hero 12 to this camera, but I'm going to compare it to the Insta360 Go 3, and it's inside its little action pod right now. So the Go 3 is recording at 2.7K, 30 frames per second. It's an ultra wide, and the GoPro Hero 12 is recording at 5.3K, and it's wide at 30 frames per second. And I'll scale down the GoPro to 4K and scale the Insta360 Go 3 up to 4K. But just visually, how do these compare? Which one actually looks more pleasing between the two? First off, I'll do a quick little audio test. The Go 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The GoPro Hero 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like I said, just stabilization wise, you're walking around, you've got sun behind you and it's blaring, so it'll give us a good idea of dynamic range of these cameras. But this is what it would look like if you were to use the GoPro Hero 12 to vlog with, or the Insta360 Go 3 to vlog with. Okay, so we've got the GoPro Hero 12, and during the testing I've been doing the last couple of days with it, I've noticed one thing that was really funny. So GoPro is really touting this whole log thing. And on the GoPro Hero 11, you had flat. On the 12, you have log. And on the Action 4, you have D-log. So I've got all three of these cameras right now. And by the way, if you hear any rustling with the handle, I'm sorry. But anyway, I've got all three of these in their flat or log or D-log profile, just so you can see dynamic range. And one thing I noticed with the GoPro Hero 12, that when I looked at the log footage, first off, it looks blurry and it looks mushy. It doesn't even look like 5.3K. And that's what I'm recording in right now on the 12. The 11 is also 5.3K. And the Action 4 is at 4K because that's as high as it goes. But can you see the difference? Can you see how muddy that the 12 looks versus the 11 in its flat versus the DJI Action 4 in its D-log, which is, in my opinion, a much flatter profile. I'm not going to color grade these. I just want you to see the log footage for what it is. Nice shadow area right here. So this is the 11. This is the Osmo Action 4. This is the Hero 12. So we've got some bright areas, and then we've got some shadow areas. And can we see how mushy that the 12 looks? Now granted, this is the initial firmware for the GoPro Hero 12, but I will say one thing to GoPro, if you're listening, and yes, they do watch a lot of review videos out there, they'll never send me a camera because I just compare them to other cameras and they don't like that, and they don't like maybe when something's called out like the GoPro Hero 9 that had that audio popping issue, which GoPro never resolved. They just kind of went straight to the 10 and screwed everybody on that. But GoPro, if you're listening, you're going to have to do something with the color profile of this GoPro Hero 12 and its supposed log, because there's something definitely wrong with the image quality. rough grass. Very rough terrain here. Alright, now we're going to do the same ride with the GoPro Hero 12 and the Osmo Action 4. And off we go. Now I'm going to set this one up for HDR just to see if there's a difference going into the sunlight. Now I've got HDR turned on the Hero 12 compared to the Action 4 with no HDR, just to see dynamic range, if there's a difference when we look right into the sunlight. Alright, that's HDR. Can we see a difference? Gotta go up this bumpy road right here. Big old bump. Boom. Another one, and one more. Boom. So at this point, you're probably wondering, well, Andre, hey, you haven't said, do you recommend this camera or not? Well, I want you to watch all the video footage of all the clips that you saw of all the different cameras in this comparison test, because I want you to be able to decide what do you think is best, because I will be doing a recommendation or a non-recommendation on the GoPro Hero 12 in an upcoming video, but I want to give GoPro a chance to address the firmware with this camera, tweak the color science, tweak this log color profile, which is really bad in my opinion. And then of course I'm going to answer that question. If you have the GoPro Hero 11, is it worth to go up to the 12? Did the 12, is it just a simple firmware update and that's all that they did, and they changed the outside case and threw some speckles on it and said, here you go, it's the 12? Or is the Action 4, is that actually the action camera to get in 2023? That question will be answered in the next video. Until then, hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Definitely consider subscribing if you're new here, because hey, I do a lot of content like this to show you if these products are actually worth it or not.